What's up, guys? Davram from Davram Gaming, and I want to go over with you a nice deck tech here from Minion Masters. I know some folks are having trouble climbing the ranks, and I have a deck here that you do have to put a little bit of shards and stuff in, but in general, a lot of these cards come with the free game and the free DLC. So as we can see, we've got an average cost of 4.2, and I'll just run down the cards for you real quick on what we have here. We do have the Plasma Marines. These can be substituted for the Crystal Archers if you have them, but I think most people have the Plasma Marines. We have Zhao Long, which is an absolute fantastic card. Really punishes your opponent for casting spells. If you don't have Zhao Long, you can always replace that flying threat with Dragon Whelp, or if you've gotten lucky, you can replace it with any of the other flyers, such as the drone buzzers. Again, that's a 4 mana, so you want to kind of stay in the 3 mana cost here to keep your mana where it is. But either the Dragon Whelp or the drone buzzers are absolutely fine in that slot. Divine Warrior, an excellent card. It is a 4-drop. There is a 3-drop version without the shield. The shield does add a lot. So do try to get the Divine Warrior if you can, but if not, you can always just put the Warrior in that place as a tank. Fire Imp is a card that I don't believe you get right off the bat, or at least I didn't. Fire Imp is an excellent card, probably one of the best cards. It is banned in competitive play right now, so you can definitely tell that it is a very, very powerhouse card. But this is your AoE guy, again, for 4 mana. If you do not have him, but you have the Bone Mancer, or the Blast Mancer, sorry, that's also a viable option. The other viable option is there is a Scrat that throws, I think it's called the Grenade Ear. It's a little bit cheaper, a little squishier, and it doesn't have the long-lasting effects, but that is also a good option there. But I strongly suggest, if you can, to pick up the Fire Imp, because it's absolutely disgusting. Fireball, a lot of folks will like the Chain Lightning, but I prefer Fireball. In my opinion, it closes out games if you can't get that final push in there, or you can clear out large groups of mobs. So Fireball is definitely a must at the 4-drop slot. Musketeer is a card that you're going to have to invest in if you want to use Musketeer in here. There are definitely other 4-drop options that are also good. You could use Morgul Swarm King if you have him. Again, another card that not going to get free. You could also use this slot and put in any of the spear throwers, either the 3-drop tantrum throwers or also the 4-drop spear throwers are also good slots in here. If you feel like you want to do a little bit more swarming stuff, you could also put in the Scrat Horde, but personally I think some sort of a good quick damage melee is really good, so spear throwers, excellent slot here. Stun Lancers, you're going to need them. You definitely need the Stun Lancers to take care of the big threats, to make sure they're not moving. So definitely get Stun Lancers. Those have the ability to also stop the Rammer and the Cleavers. Defenso Chopper, this is your bread and butter. This is what's going to take care of your Scrat Hordes, of your Propeller Scrats, and the massive armies coming from the air. It also takes care of the enemy Dragon Whelps and anyone running Dragon Pack. This will one-shot them when they attack. So definitely a card that you need to be successful with this deck. Succubus, if you don't have Succubus, which is the best slot for this 5 slot here, as far as her range DPS, she has the highest DPS, but she doesn't have AoE with her DPS, so some folks will want to go with the Annihilator. But again, one-on-one, the Succubus will beat the Annihilator every single time. So if you have Succubus, slot her in there. And then finally, your closeout guy and your big-time base killer, Cleaver. At the 6-drop there, Cleaver definitely holds this spot and is your closer. Now, the original concept of this deck came from a Twitch streamer named Sinobi, twitch.tv/Sinobi. He has a more budget version of this deck that he's been playing to Grandmaster level. I have just started playing this game. I like his base deck. That's where we started. We've made some tweaks. and this deck also has a very high percentage of win. I don't have the game time under my belt as he does, so we haven't hit Grandmaster yet, but we did make Master last season with it, and we're making up the ranks. We just didn't have enough time in the season. We joined the game 1 week left in the season, so we didn't get that Grandmaster rank, but we were using this deck. So let's just pop out here. The hero of choice for this deck, you can use many of the heroes for this deck that you prefer. However, if you look at our deck, we definitely have some opportunities here with heavily ranged decks. So I prefer to use the Ranger here, Nightbringer, if you will. So I prefer to use him because he just adds a little bit more clearing abilities that normally we don't get. So let's just hop into a game here, and I will show you how to pilot this deck. Alright guys, so I want to show you the power of this deck. I am doing a replay of a previous game so you can see, and I will commentate that so I don't have to focus on the gameplay while I commentate. As you can see, they have the 2 basic scrats right off the bat, which my hero can easily dispatch. I am then going to make sure I've got the 10 mana, and what you'll notice with this deck is we have tanks paired with our range units. We never want to send a tank in alone if we can avoid it. We never want to send a range unit in alone if we can avoid it. So as you can see, we use the Divine Warrior in first to take the beating, while we have the Succubus in the background doing the DPS. The other thing you want to do here, and that was an unfortunate play for us, is we had an open lane for our Cleaver. Anytime you have an open lane for the Cleaver, you want to make sure you get him in there. Unfortunately, as I was summoning the Cleaver, they also had the Defenso Chopper, which really hurts when the hero is Milloween, because it's going to stun the Cleaver, and then she's going to have free reign to kill him. What you'll see here is I'm not just summoning a whole bunch of creatures. I'm waiting for them to take action, and then I counter with my tanks in the front and my ranged units in the back. On this instance, we do a double stun lancer with the flame imp behind, clears that out. We put Zhao in the top. Zhao's going to easily be able to take care of both the crossbowmen. He's not going to be able to stand up too much with Milloween. However, what you'll see is he will do quite a bit of damage here. We have 2 range units already in the field to fight Milloween on her side. So dropping the tank of the Musketeer on the top, he will be easily able to take care of this statue. And again, we're just keeping with that rhythm. We counter what they're throwing down. The tank in the front, ranged unit in the back. Again, the Defenso Chopper is going to really cause us some issues, but with that tank in the front, we've got Succubus in the back, that gives us a clear lane to get the Cleaver in there. The Cleaver is the game ender, and there you go. 2 minutes, 1 second. We lost 10 hit points, and we won. You want to make sure you're countering your opponent, and you want to make sure you're putting tanks in the front and range units in the back. Now, a lot of folks have issues with Ravager. He's got a lot of melee damage up front, so our melees are going to take a lot of damage, but our ranged units are going to be really effective against him. In this instance, I do not put a melee in front because I know the Flame Imp is going to be able to kill those, and I put the Marines in the top, and they are going to be able to take care of that, and I drop Zhao. As you can see, our focus here is going to be lots of range units, because as you can see, Ravager can't do anything to them. Zhao is just going to sit here and be able to plank away at the base, and our range units are just going to be able to, destroy the dudes. He just used a lot of mana to stop that first attack, which gives me a free lane to get the Cleaver in there. Now, I do have some dudes on my base, but as you can see, I can drop the Divine Warrior right into place and take care of the units without taking a single point of damage. He also has the Fake Cleaver, Normal Cleaver combo, which means we took care of the Fake Cleaver earlier. This one could be fake, but it's not. It's actually real. He also has Brutus, which is always a problem for a lot of folks. So I've got my Stun Lancer in there to stun the dudes, and now I've dropped Musketeer in there, which is excellent at taking care of melee units. We now have melee units in the top with the Spear Throwers. Now, the Defenso Chopper takes a lot of damage from the Spear Throwers, but at the end of the day, can basically kill those melee units without even having to do much. So now we got a couple swings in with our Musketeer and our Mechano Chopper pushed all the way into his field. We have Zhao back in play, which means Zhao's going to be able to plink away a little bit, but get dispatched by these crossbowmen, which, as we saw earlier, can be one-shotted with the Flame Imp. One attack, and that's taken care of. The Flame Imp also does really good damage at the base, and against Ravager does an excellent job because he's got a damage that's constantly ticking. We've lost 25 health at this point, and he's already down to 870. And at this point right here, our Lancers are going to dispatch his Cleaver, so we counter the Lancer really well. He's down to 270, and we're not in any fear right now of dying. The Musketeer is going to take care of this dog, and it's going to take care of the Warrior because of his parry block dodge ability, which is on a cooldown. Even against 2 melees, he comes out with a 4th health with his range support behind. As we talked about in the first video, and as we talked about in the actual looking at the deck itself, this deck is not about spamming things out there without thinking. You want to see what your opponent's doing, you want to react with it, and try as much as you can to get a tank in the front with a ranged DPS in the back, and there we go, Ravager's done, and we lost 25 health. Now, what I can tell you right now is this isn't going to be a deck that you're going to just sit down and be able to just have master skill right off the bat. You're going to need to take some time, you're going to need to practice, and you're going to need to get a feel of sometimes you're going to take damage on your tower. That is absolutely fine. You don't want to get into a panic mode when you're dropping these units without thinking counter, defense in the front, minions that have ranged in the back. You don't want to panic. This deck does not have, nor will any deck have, a 100% win rate, but what you want to make sure you do is, as you're learning and getting your win rates up, if you have more wins than losses, the deck is working for you, right? So if you have 2 losses for every, or 2 wins for every 1 loss, you're going to be moving up in the ranks, and therefore, it's great. There are going to be other decks that maybe have a higher win percentage than yours or than this one. But at the end of the day, fit your play style. But personally, if you're getting into this game, this is a great deck for you to start with. You do have to craft some of the cards, but there are definitely some swap outs that you can make with this deck in order to make it successful. If you would like to see more Minion Masters live, we are streaming Minion Masters every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/DavramTV. Guys, as always, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time in the arena.